Hello, in this video I'm going to talk through some of my loser bracket battles that I had during the World Championships. I made a vlog video as well. It gives better insight into the entire experience if you're looking for that. And I also in the previous video went through my team, the IV of the Pokemon, and some of the day 1 and day 2 matchups up until my loss. So that's where I'm continuing in this video. My first match in the loser bracket was going to be against the C2U, who was at this point 18-0. Let me tell you that playing against someone who's 18-0 in battles right now is scary. It's no joke. I went 17-0 in Utrecht after losing my first round on day 2, and that already felt unreal. 18-0 at Worlds is actually crazy, and like he's just about halfway through the loser bracket on day 2 as well, so there's a lot going for him. We are the only players with Klotzai here. Klotzai actually looking quite good into his team. His hardest check is the Skarmory, and Skarmory can actually lose the 0 shields if he doesn't go for Brave Bird in that scenario. So Klotzai is definitely a Pokemon that I want to use. He's a big fan, so will be a pretty funny match. I like Wigglytuff too, but Skarmory and Klotzai together are pretty scary. On the other hand though, I do have Watergun Lantern to core break that. So let's see how I was going to tackle this. So another Pokemon that's really good into his team is Poliwrath. This is a Watergun Lantern, so my Poliwrath will win the 1 and 2 shields into it. The CTU played against Rise to Occasion early on the day, I believe in his first round of day 2, and he won that, even though Rise to Occasion had his Shadow Poliwrath, which is very difficult for him, because he kind of needs to just align that Annihilate well. The team that I brought here is very simple. Skarmory can lose basically only one lead into his team, which is Lantern. If he leads Lantern, I say switch Poliwrath. He shouldn't have an answer, because if he has Lantern lead with Annihilate in the back, he's hard ABA to Guillotine. He would just die to Guillotine him. So, I do lose the lead. Let's see how this is going to go. Say switching Poliwrath, and you can tell by the look of his face, he's like, yeah, I don't have an answer here. He's going to go for a bait, obviously protect the Poliwrath here. If he doesn't bring in an Annihilate, he likely doesn't have an answer regardless. And he actually brings in the Klotzai, which is not exactly an answer. Because he swaps in late, he also misses a Mudshot. And I'm going to be pretty fortunate here. Getting some Scald debuffs. But I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Look, I was going to flip switch here no matter what. And he would always struggle with knocking out my Poliwrath regardless. This Earthquake already wouldn't have knocked out on the previous Earthquake, so debuff is okay. And the debuff is actually not that great for me, because it means he gets more farm on his Lantern. On the other hand, though, it would mean that he could lock in switch advantage, perhaps, if he didn't get a debuff. So, a little bit of both sides. Let's see, Watergun Lantern comes back in. Gonna go for the Scald. And you see that Poliwrath put in so much work already, almost knocking out 2 Pokemon here. He has a lot of energy, but that's okay. Guillotine resists everything. In comes his Lickitung. And this is actually a way closer matchup in the one-shots than you'd like it to be. This is where Shadow Skarmory is better, just because the lick damage from Lickitung will do the same, but your Steel Wing damage will do more. So just going straight Sky Attack would be much better here. Just because he doesn't throw his energy right away, I can't really go for Brave Bird here, which would obviously do way more damage. I can take the Body Slam here, but Lickitung is fast. The Body Slams add up. Gonna go for another Sky Attack. And the lower this Lickitung gets, that's basically the goal here. Getting Lickitung very low so Guillotine can handle it. I'm gonna no-shield this still. This is not in Shadow Ball range just yet, by the way. So, a little bit scary. I'm gonna shield this just to get a little bit more Steel Wing damage in. I know he has an attack on Lantern, and I know he's likely going to snipe me. But that's okay, because now I can get a farm down on Guillotine. Surf will knock me out here. Gonna go for the farm down on Guillotine, and this should be very fine. He luckily doesn't get to a Thunderbolt, because that would bring me scary low. Guillotine never really got hard aligned to Lickitung, but this was a pretty scary scenario. Shadow Ball was gonna go through, and look at my face. It was pretty entertaining. They even made like a TikTok reel of this, where I struggled Shadow Clawing down a Lickitung. That's a good game. So I broke his 18-0 streak. Let's see how I'm gonna tackle game number 2. Poliwrath is just kind of a degen Pokemon sometimes. Like, you can just force your way through a lot of matchups, especially the regular Poliwrath, because even as Altaria, I would win the 2 shields. He is not running a Wigglytuff counter, and I actually brought Wigglytuff. I'm gonna shield this up regardless. Like, I just want to win switch here. He goes into Annihilate, baits out the Wigglytuff. At this point, I was like, there's no way you do this, right? Lead and or say switch Annihilate to bait out Wigglytuff for your Altaria. Altaria doesn't even look that great into my team with like Klotzai or Skarmory being pretty good. Actually, I didn't bring it the previous game, the Clotsire, but Clotsire is looking decent to his team. He's gonna bring in the Lantern, which has to clean up my wheelie tough. I'm gonna go for the Swift here, which won't knock out yet. Swift's a pretty weak attack. It was actually pretty funny to read afterwards in our team group where someone said the CTU forgot there's a wheelie tough, and IV Pips reply with, well, he just received a kind reminder. And then Ileb actually got the wheelie tough pretty low, which is annoying. I see the Moonblast here, and that's actually an indication that he swapped during his charge attack, and it looks a little bit buggy on my side. Because Poliwrath pace is relatively fast here, or at least faster to the Sky attack from Altaria, I just go for double Icy Wind. And at that point, Clotsire is just gonna clean up this game. Clotsire, already very bulky, but these Dragon Breaths almost look like double resisted. I'll just go for Stone Edge. That should clean up the game. Yeah, so even against someone who's 18-0, the CTU, no doubt he's a good player. But I got good alignment here and good calls. Rise to Occasion came after me and he was like, laughing, came to me, saying that I was like, I don't care if you're 18, get out of here with that. Which is pretty funny. He gave me the Poddy and Wooper plushie after that. As the CTU's a big Wooper fan, or big Clotsire fan as well, I was the only Clotsire in the tournament now to try and win it all. My second match in the losers round was going to be against Rocha Babyface, and I played him before in a Casas tournament where we both got to the finals there, and he beat me there. And what he mostly did was bluff my Giratina. Giratina looks incredible into his team, right? He has Charger Bug, Azumarill's playable, it's good into Talonflame, good into Annihilate, decent into Wishcash. It's only Lickitung that I fear, but back then he hardly brought the Lickitung. So obviously Giratina is very good, but maybe he expects it this time and respects it more. It's kind of a iffy matchup to play in. I lead Skarmy to Charge Bug, that stuff. I am ABB into it though, so I'm gonna say switch Wishcash, and this is like, here I'm like, okay, this is Lickitung in the back. My only play here is to flip. Absolute no other play. What I didn't think of is that it could be Azumarill. Azumarill is a Pokemon he brought previously into that Casas tournament as well. Quite often, even gets a debuff. That means my next Earthquake will knock out. And I lose Charge Superiority, so I didn't throw yet. If I guessed Azumarill in the back, I probably would just get 2 shields for Giratina. Because 2 shield Giratina can win that matchup. Going for another Earthquake. He lets it go, actually. And again, I'm thinking it's Lickitung. So my only play here, I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. Flip. It's the only thing I can do if it's Lickitung. And he can't even come in with Charge Bug. So whatever comes in now takes the damage from this Clotsire. Even if it was Lickitung, that would be pretty okay, maybe. Debuff Earthquake doesn't do a lot. I hope we can get to another Stone Edge. We'll bring this Azumarill almost into half HP. And it's actually massive. Clotsire putting in a lot of work here. But 2-0 shield Charge Bug can beat Giratina, so it's not that great. He actually throws his attack, and that is interesting. He stays in even, and the more shields he's gonna use, the longer he stays into this, the better the Giratina becomes into his Charge Bug in the back. In fact, Giratina should win the 0-1 because I resist everything at Shadow Ball. It's extremely hard. Goes for the Ice Beam again. Won't knock out just yet. At this point, Rocha's gonna look at me and he's like, he tried to catch there. He's looking at me like, he knew what was in the back. I said, you know what's in the back. And he swaps it in. I bring in Giratina and there it is. He now realizes. Maybe he did want to play it different before, right? Realizing it's Giratina, 2-0 Charger Bug. Could win this matchup, perhaps come out with a discharge for the Scarry, would be much better. Now, here's the thing. I know this matchup out of the top of my head, right? I know I'm not counting anymore at this point. That's the thing why you'll see my face here, because I actually thought maybe he wasn't there yet. But I should live this usually at 1 HP, but you'll never know what kind of IV the opponent is running, right? Looks like he's running a very good Charge Bug, and that means I will live by 1 HP or so there. Usually I have a little bit more HP, so maybe he does have attack weighted. In my head, I was like, I need to come up with another attack. There's no play because Skarmy does not have enough health and it would faint to bubbles. Looking at it back in hindsight, maybe I would have Steel Wing down. My third round in the loose bracket is against Lurgan Rocket, my good friend. And his team is European, man. It's pretty unconventional, but I think my matchup is pretty good because Wigglytuff defeats Lickitung, Goodra, and Poliwrath. And then Giratina beats Talonflame, Cresselia, Poliwrath, and Registeel. So I feel kind of confident here. One thing that is in my head here is that Lurgan has often held against me that he often beats me in like GBL, or that he won a Sil faction matchup 2 or 3 years ago. I don't like any of that held against me. Okay, so this was a very important one for me to stop that. In game number 2, he's calling my Giratina bluff again, and Giratina looks so good into this team, man. But that Azumarill is also scary. I run a team very weak into Azumarill, which I kind of know is coming, but I'm also, with Wigglytuff Giratina, I can't deal with it, right? I just need to cover Lickitung very hard if I lead Giratina. And Giratina got a lot of knockouts in this series, by the way. He goes into the Wish Cache. This is a hard swap after he threw the Fly. Talonflame is basically useless at this point, not going to do a lot anymore. But I like the switch for him because it allows him to clear Icy Wind debuffs later. I'm going to take a Mud Bomb here, and that's intentionally because I can take this damage here, plus the Azumarill, if it is in the back, can't bubble me down. But you see me kind of grimacing here because I swapped very late, and it means I miss a counter here. As you can see here, I don't sneak. He's looking at his team sheet. I don't know if he exactly... Wigglytuff was exactly what would be in the back. I think he expected Skarmy maybe, or even Clodsire. Mudbomb coming through, and I can take that. Gotta throw right before his next attack. I didn't want him to catch it potentially on Talonflame. Azumarill comes back in. This is very fine. I was, in this case, missing the counter doesn't matter a lot. I'm going to go for the Ice Wind first, so the bubbles do less, and then I might be able to get to another attack here. The less HP this Azumarill has, the better Wigglytuff will become. Plus, now he's kind of forced to give up his sack swap at some point, simply because I debuffed his Azumarill here. Going for Scald, this doesn't debuff, doesn't matter. Half HP Azumarill debuff, Wigglytuff can definitely take this on, so I should be very fine here. Giratina cannot be bubbled down at the range it is right now. And he's gonna look at me and says, GG, he knows that this is kind of over. I locked him in here. And maybe he wasn't gonna throw his attack, but then was like, yeah, I'll just throw it. Like I said, Giratina got a lot of knockouts. I'm just gonna bring it in to go a little bit faster than the 3 turn. And that wins me this matchup by 2-0. Very happy with that. So just before this match starts, Lurgan told me afterwards that he found he had too little time to like write down the matchup and construct an actual team composition. This, I don't know if that's the actual... if that's actually true, but this is why I don't write down anything, because it just takes too much time and it gives you too little time to think about team composition. It could be okay to write down like the counts of moves perhaps, or where's the opponent is at. It's not for me. So we both play this out a little bit different. I'm gonna go straight Icy Wind. That is to secure switch advantage. Since he goes Scald, I will win switch here if I shield. Here's the thing, because he said he couldn't make an actual team composition, I didn't realize that he was going to go hard ABA to me. He told me in the back, you're probably going to play some ABA line to piss me off. Well, looks like... but again, he said it's because he didn't have enough time to make an actual team composition. Older Rat lead, Gudra on the back. If I let Wigglytuff, he's dead, right? But I didn't bring Wigglytuff this time. In fact, even if you go soft ABA like that, it's still a very poor team composition. I played that into Shadow Mimikyu at NAIC, and Wigglytuff just shields Skull and comes out with like 70% HP. So, trust me, Fighter lead, Dragon in the back, not a good soft ABA into Fairies. He goes into Gudra, and obviously this would have been better for me if I... you see me looking at him there. Like, you're playing ABA into me. That's a nasty ABA. But obviously, this would have been much better if I didn't shield. But I expected Talonflame instead of Gudra, because I didn't expect hard ABA into Wigglytuff. I know it's going to be Cresselia. Cresselia was always going to come out, and I was expecting like a soft ABA to Giratina, actually. You know, even saying that I don't like to hard call, so I just went my own plan here, which was basically covered Cresselia twice in the back. He lets this go, which is crucial for me, because I think he was thinking it's Giratina on the back, and Cresselia with a shield advantage does okay there. I'm gonna go into Clodsire, store some energy there. I was actually trying to catch a Grass Knot, but Grass Knot probably wouldn't have even knocked out, so it wasn't maybe my best play. Doesn't really matter anyway. Grass Knot doesn't do a lot of damage on Clodsire. Even though Clodsire takes super effective damage from Psycho Cut the whole time, they don't really add up, and then not same type attack bonus. Grass Knot, they don't really add up either. This is the same type attack bonus. And that's gonna chunk. 2 Earthquakes should knock out with those Steel Wings and the Mud Shot. So this is actually an obvious bait for me. But I think the bait is also a loose condition for me. I don't need to bait even. He's not even close to another attack. Earthquake might put him in like 1 or 2 Steel Wing down range, but it doesn't matter. I go back into Skarmy, get to the Brave Birds. That should win me this game. So didn't expect that ABA, but again, he said he didn't have enough time to make an actual team composition, so maybe that's it. So game 1, I went a little bit weak into the Talonflame because Polarad doesn't do super well there, and then I have Skarmy in the back, right? This time I'm gonna bring, this is actually a Reddit port team composition for me, but I just happened to have the right call. I went ABB into Talonflame. But here's the thing, if I save switch Skarmy to bait out Talonflame, Talonflame gets so much energy, and then wrecks Giratina as well with the energy. Maybe that composition would be better with like a Lantern lead, but since I always expect this Cresselia, I didn't want to bring that. It is a very good matchup for me though. Gonna go for the Icy Wind. I should win this, lock this matchup in no matter what. No shields, the Icy Wind, that's okay. And the timer is almost getting up. You don't actually see it a lot with a Charmer. I mean, it's obviously Lickitungu's work. The Spout Whip won't knock out yet, so I won't be able to flip it. And you see me always a little bit doubting a little bit, but this normally it should knock out. He snipes me actually here, gives him an Incinerate advantage, and allows him to have a catch for Lickitung. But me waiting or me not swapping means that my clock will be up soon. And if he has Gudra in the back, because I did expect some sort of either Gudra or Polarad in the back. Yeah, actually calling a bait here, which is crazy. I think he would have had a lot more play if he just shields there. But he wants to do 2 shields Gudra. That's fine with me. Gudra is kind of unchecked with the Wheels of Gone. But again, because I didn't swap out during that Incinerate and let him knock me out, my timer's up. This makes it way more difficult for him. Because if I did switch out during that Incinerate and save my Wigglytuff, then he could have farmed on my Giratina, come out with like 2 Thunder Punches. But this is much better for me now, because I can pull those shields immediately. I shield the first Thunder Punch there, because I figured that's going to be... that's probably not going to be a bait. It would do the most damage, because all the charge attack damage is resist on Giratina. He's going to try to catch here, because I threw immediately earlier. I waited half a turn. Oh, half a turn. I waited a turn. Half a turn would be very short. But I waited just a little bit to see if he would swap or not. And I did see that the Gudra was gone for a little bit. So I waited, he didn't manage to catch, then I'm able to get to the Ominous Wind on Giratina. Aqua Tail would not knock me out here yet, so... Giratina, taking another knockout here, wins me the battle into Lurgan Rocket. My next matchup is against, I believe this is like the only player, maybe there were 2 players from India, but Beelzeboy got really far as well. He's top 4, means we all secured a trophy in this position. My Clodsire is extremely good here, because his Quagsire is difficult to bring. Polyrat of mine beats Registeel, Quagsire, does okay into Skeledirge, because regular can hang on with the Desiring Voice quite well, does well into Mandibuzz, and does well into Vigoroth. So he always has to bring Cresselia for my Polyrat. That is my prediction here. So let's see how that's going to go here. This might be, if you've seen this stream, this might be a matchup you're pretty well familiar with. Beelzeboy had a lot of win condition in this matchup, and we're going to see all of them. Giratina into Mandibuzz, obviously that's a terrible matchup. I'm going to go into Clodsire. The odds of him bringing Quagsire are so low, so I felt like Clodsire was a very good safe switch, and because if I lose the lead, I would think that he would throw an attack, then go into Cresselia, and that's going exactly according to plan. Means my Polarad now is free, but little did I know that he was going to have Vigoroth in the back, so Giratina just basically has no play. He makes a very smart play here. Is actually going to let this Cresselia go, because again, he doesn't need switch advantage into my Giratina. Means he can even get like energy advantage later. Just one thing that I want to say about this. Everyone who plays a competitive tournament, or maybe even in GBL, those crucial matches, you remember them, and you're always like, I could have done this better. You know, Beelzeboy probably looking back at it knows what went wrong. So like questioning anything he does at this point doesn't matter, right? There's a lot of pressure when you're actually playing there. And I have no doubt that even despite how this matchup went, he's one of the best players in the world. I'm gonna let Body Slam go. Air Ace does more. And this is the first misplay he made. He stays in way too long. Because if he swaps out immediately, Giratina cannot get past this. So I'm looking a little bit like, what are you doing? Now swaps into Mandibuzz. Gonna go for the Ice Wind. Here's the second misplay. He's gonna let both of these Ice Wind go. These deal super effective damage. And if you look at the Pokemon remaining on my team, Clodsire might be able to get to a Stone Edge, perhaps. Especially considering Mandibuzz is so debuffed. But other than that, what are you going to shield? Mandibuzz is getting pretty low here. The lower these Pokemon get, the better Giratina gets. I'm going to try to catch here. Because he threw immediately, I was thinking maybe he does it again. He doesn't. But like I said, Mandibuzz is so debuffed. I kind of did catch somewhat. Because he still has to throw into Clodsire. Although he did have 2 more Snow. Now bringing Giratina, I feel like this is kind of over though. Because even these double debuff Dark Pulse would knock me out. But he swaps out. Again, you could just turn to Dark Pulse, knock me out there. I was never gonna get through that Mandibus with... Well, I mean, it does have a lot of HP. He shielded a double resist Shadow Ball here that would have knocked out the Viggold. Rock Slide doesn't knock me out just yet. And I'm gonna go for Charge Purity on the Ominous Wind here. Giratina just barely wins Charge Purity. I think it's like 118 versus 116 attack. Ominous Wind knocks out. In comes Mandibus, which throw... And now another misplay, he throws an Aerial Ace. This won't knock out just yet. Maybe Beelzeboy underestimating the bulk of Giratina. This allows me to switch out, then throw the Icy Wind. He cannot snarl me down, so he has to throw immediately. I think Beelzeboy knows at this point. My only win condition is debuffing, hoping then I live the snarl, because otherwise I definitely wouldn't. Area is coming through, and this Mandibus is so low that Giratina comes in and is actually able to Shadow Claw down, which is crazy. This matchup probably should have never happened like this. But again, like I said, Beelzeboy, I have no doubt he is one of the best in the world. There's a lot of pressure when you get there, and he knows at this point. So, he has to salvage. The problem with Beelzeboy is he has a terrible matchup here. So how do you come back from that? There's a lot of pressure on him for this. He leads Quagsire, hard calling my Clodsire lead, but it wasn't there. I'm actually using 3 Pokemon that don't even look that great into his team, right? The lower 3 of the Pokemon that I don't use, Giratina, Clodsire, and Poliwrath, are by far the best Pokemon that I could bring. Watergun Lantern wins his matchup. I believe in all even shield snare. Maybe not in the 0 shield. But the 1s and 2s, definitely. Goes for the Stone Edge. And I actually don't want to shield this, but it has too much HP. It's going to put such a dent into my Wigglytuff. I didn't know. At this point, I need to switch this much. And I don't want to switch out because Skarmy and both Wigglytuff into Quagsire with Energy Advantage is kind of iffy. But I'm playing ABB into Skeledirge this time. So at this point, I'm like, I can't shield. I'll take the shield advantage on my Skarmy. That should be able to at least knock out the Skeledirge. I know the next Pokemon is going to be Cresselia for sure. Throws the Aqua Tail, that's fine. He didn't get to a Stone Edge. Very smart play by Beelzeboy. Didn't want to take the risk. In comes Cresselia. He's probably happy with Switch, but I have Skarmy with a shield advantage. It was actually meant to take on Skeledirge with a shield advantage, but he didn't bring that. And this is a very fine matchup. This will do the most damage because everything that Cresselia has is resisted. It could be a little bit scary if he lands a Moonblast on my triple debuff Skarmy after the Brave Birds, but I should be okay. My timer might actually be almost up at that point because Mandibus is so bulky, it takes 2 charge stacks at least to knock out with all these Steel Wing damage. I'm gonna farm it as much as possible because I need to make sure that Brave Bird knocks out here. That's the thing with Mandibus, it's so bulky, and Brave Bird does like under 50%. So knocks it out, I'm able to swap out there, and this is basically locking in the match. I know at this point that I won. But it's basically over. The only way I lose is if this doesn't knock out and he gets to 100, he farms me down before I will be able to throw this. But I am able to throw this. Ice Wind debuffs his attack and makes it even more tedious to farm down my Wigglytuff. In fact, it puts him even into the red. So that's crazy. He can't get to Moonblast here before I get to my charge stack. So I know that I won at this point. Hyping up the crowd a little bit there, and then go for the Sky attack. It didn't matter what that point what I would throw. This match he was never going to win. The previous one was definitely one he should have gotten though, and that's a 2-0 win for me. So those were some of my loser bracket battles. In the next video, I will be going over the loser finals against Mark de Galde, then the grand finals against Yakai. Hope you liked the video, and see you next one. Bye.